Good morning, noon or night, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This one, of course, is a preview for Newcastle United v Nottingham Forest this weekend. I am once again joined by Adam P. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing well, mate. Thank you. It's great, by the way, to see Forest still in the top four. Because I remember speaking to you. I remember speaking to all the Forest fans down at the City Ground earlier in the season. There was a lot of confidence going into the game, and obviously once Newcastle came out with the 3 points, it was almost kind of like a sign of deflation at that stage because you kind of like you had that peak and it's kind of dropped for that match, and then all of a sudden you're going into a few hard games across that December period. But Forest has stuck with it. They've been consistent all season round, and again, still in the top four. And I remember coming on your show actually, and I said that if Forest could get through that December period, all them games coming up, if they were still in the top four after that December period, I felt like Forest would go all the way, and I think they would stay in the Champions League. So, he's still in it now, so obviously you had to do the job on your end, but I am a believer now. I think Forest will actually finish in the top four.
Before I get properly into the interview, then please, everyone watching, make sure to like and subscribe so I can fix this awful statistic. And thank you very much. You said before we started recording that you were a little bit nervous. How are you feeling about this game?
Well, yeah, I stand by that. I feel like Newcastle's probably in maybe their worst shape at this moment. The time kind of coming into the Forest game, that City game was just so bad for us. Now it's not necessarily losing the game against Manchester City that was bad. It was just a level of performance. Players just clearly didn't give 100%. Personally, my opinion, you can see I'm wearing our cup final shirt now. I think that's probably one of the indications. Is one eye towards that Carabao Cup final. I feel like that's already case kind of creeping into the squad. And our week coming up, got you guys on the Sunday, Liverpool at Anfield on the Wednesday. It's horrific. And then even next week, Brighton in the FA Cup, 2 games away from Wembley again. These aren't nice fixtures coming up. Newcastle have got a lot of pressure kind of mounting up. I feel like maybe at the wrong time we just kind of started to slip away a little bit in the league, and I think it's kind of been the story of our season when it comes towards Premier League football. We just haven't we've been way too inconsistent. We haven't been consistent enough. Talk about a team like Forest here who has been consistent all season around. As a Newcastle fan, I can't say Newcastle deserves to be in the top four for Forest because we haven't shown that in the Premier League. We've been all over the place. We've been very dodgy at times, and I feel like our best part in the season was 9 wins in a row. But the reality was, out of those 9 wins in a row, 5 or 6 of those were only in the league, and then there was the cup matches as well. So our cup seasons kind of made our Premier League season look a bit better than what it actually was. But our Premier League season's just been all over the place, just way too inconsistent to even consider Newcastle at this moment of time being a top four side.
Well, I mean, I was going to sort of ask you what you thought about the season, but you've summed it up for me pretty well there. So I'll instead ask you about what's on your shirt, your Carabao Cup final you got coming off. How are you feeling about that cup final?
Of course, for us, has been 70 years since our last domestic major honour, which is just absolutely mind-boggling. Going into this final, I'm still confident for the final. I mean, you got to remember it is one game. I know you say one game, and everyone knows how big that final is. And I feel like, especially for our cup final 2 years back against Manchester United, you could kind of tell that the players just knew it was a big occasion, and it felt like the occasion got to us. I mean, we're all partying, celebrating in that week heading up to the final. Manchester United just turn up nonchalantly on the day. They've won so many trophies. For example, man of match that game, Casemiro, a guy that's won, 5 Champions Leagues. And Manchester United were also in very good form going into that game. And they just walked all over us, really. It was kind of one of them games where Newcastle went there 2 years ago. We've experienced it. Our players know what it's like to lose at Wembley. So going back this year, I think we can do it over Liverpool. I actually think we can. Liverpool obviously have been good this season, but they're starting to be a bit all over the place the last couple of weeks, and I feel like as well, obviously they're going to have Champions League and Premier League aspirations this season. So for Newcastle, they've got to take it to them at Wembley. I am confident for the final. I know I think in the Newcastle point of view, I've been perhaps a bit negative to us so far, but I mean, truthfully, cup final, turn up on the day. I think Newcastle can do it, and I'm expecting us to at least have a real show, and I think we'll take it to Liverpool, and I think it will actually be quite a good game.
You said a little bit about thinking that you've not really deserved to be top four. What would you need to do to to sneak into those Champions League places.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, you're correct. Of course, if the English team's doing well and you wait for competitions, that fifth spot will open up for Champions League. And the reality is, though, I look at the teams that are above Newcastle. Obviously, Liverpool, Arsenal, Forest, Chelsea, and you've got Bournemouth and City. The thing is, I just think all of those teams I mentioned have all been better than Newcastle this season in the league. I know City's dropped off at times. I know the likes of Bournemouth didn't have the greatest first half of the season and just shut up with the last 10 matches. But again, I just can't say Newcastle's deserved to finish above those teams. I think all of them have been more consistent than Newcastle. I feel like Newcastle maybe just behind that, but I'm saying this now, and there's still a good third of the season or so to go. So Newcastle, all we got to do next few matches is just get it together, and I could completely change my opinion on that in a month's time. But as of now, I can only judge what I've seen from the 25 games or so that Newcastle's played, and we just haven't been as good as those teams that I mentioned. There's no way again the likes of Newcastle have deserved to finish above Bournemouth and Forest. I just don't think that's the case at all. I think both of these have been much better than us. So, for us, I've got a bunch of games to go now. We just need to play well in all the games. Like I know it's obvious saying that, but Newcastle just haven't given 100% in all these matches, and it's really ticked me off, to be honest, this season. We just need to get it together. But again, if Newcastle was, for example, let's say beat Liverpool in that final, then it's still a good season for us. So there's a lot of things Newcastle can do. They just need to get it to stick somewhere. We need to just get something coming out of this season.
There's been quite a lot of debate with one specific Newcastle fan account, with pretty much the whole of Forest Twitter, about Chris Wood and Alex Isak, by just effectively just slagging Chris Wood off. Well, what do you think about the debate between those two players?
Well, they are obviously two completely different players. I know when you look at Chris Wood and Isak, goals wise this season, Chris Wood scored more currently than Isak, which is absolutely mental when you put it that way. I stand by what I've said about Wood, though. I never felt like he suited the way Newcastle play. Newcastle's a team that loves playing the ball at the ground. We're talking fancy football. They love playing the 1-2s. They love just making sure the ball is played absolutely everywhere on the park. But Chris Wood's a sort of player, loves it in the air. He loves loads of direct crosses. He just loves loads of opportunities coming into the box. And he's not so much of a player that could really be able to just run with the ball and being able to properly hold it up a bit like Isak can. And I think Isak's a very unique player. The way you watch him play is, I really struggle to see many strikers in world football that can really play the way he can at the minute. But again, it depends on what you look as a striker. Obviously, with all due respect to Forest, you could probably argue that they may have a worse team than Newcastle, despite the fact that Forest are above us. So you may argue in Chris Wood's case, well, if you can score more goals for Forest than Isak can for Newcastle, is he a better player? But I stand by. I think Isak is a better player. I think with the way Isak plays, it's not necessarily just about the goals, but I think if you were to ask any opposition fan now, which striker would you rather have play for your cup, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to say Isak. As much as Chris Wood has done well, and I still stand by that. Chris Wood has done extremely well for Forest, got an unbelievable amount of goals, and is one of the key reasons why you guys are in the top four. But I feel like for opposition fans, if you're going to pick one, you still are going to pick Isak.
If you could have one Forest player, then who would you have?
That is a tricky one. I need a good think about that one. But I think Newcastle's midfield's already quality. I think Isak's irreplaceable. His defence as good as Forest has been. I don't know how to switch Newcastle's defence. So maybe one of the centre halves, because I absolutely love Forest's centre halves this season. But probably out wide options. I still stand by that Newcastle need probably better players out wide. Not necessarily on the left hand side, but more on the right. Who would have been on Forest's right side this season? Would that have been Elanga?
It's been Elanga, yeah.
Yeah. Probably him, and ironically, according to Athletic, that was a player Newcastle wanted in the summer anyway. So, ironically, probably the one we've potentially targeted a bit early on. Again, probably the sort of player gets in. Elanga, I think, is better than the options you have out in the right hand side. So, if I had to pick anyone, I'll probably pick him. But to be honest, I'm still pleased enough with most of Newcastle's team. We just need to probably get more squad depth in than anything.
I think that Elanga was very inconsistent for the first bit of the season, but then he scored that winner against Villa, and then he just sort of burst into life, and he's been brilliant ever since then. I think that was his first goal in the league, that winner against Villa, and he scored maybe 3 or 4. goals now. He's got a load of assists too. He provided a hat-trick of assists for Chris Wood as well. They work very well together. I think that Ilanga gave Wood an assist the last time we were at St James's Park as well. That feels like a really long time ago. What was it like being at that game?
I was still a real shock, to be honest, when you just reminded me of that game there. I kind of wanted to try my best to get it back out of my head. It was a bit strange for Newcastle at that point because again in the league we weren't doing too bad, but that match I think fans were just so expected that Newcastle were going to win the game. I don't think I ever would have expected Chris Wood to score a hat-trick against us, our own stadium, which is actually more goals that he scored at St James's Park in the one game than he did in his entire Newcastle United career. So that was a real shocker. And again, Forest at that stage weren't that good. So at the time when we had Forest, it was probably just an expected result where we go out there and we'll win. But Newcastle were just really bad against teams that were like between 15th and 20th that season. I remember Luton Town came to St James's Park and drew 4-4. They actually put 4 goals past us at St James's Park, which again is just absolutely mind-boggling when you look at the fact that they're like bottom of the championship now or whatever. So again, with Forest, I think we were expected to win. It was just a case where players were probably a bit cocky towards Forest, probably felt like it was going to be an easy game for them, and straight away go 1-0 up, just switched off, and then Forest just completely humbled us basically for the rest of the game. But it was top class from them. Caught us off guard. And even when you look at the head-to-head record this season, that's still the only time Forest has beat Newcastle since they've actually came back up. And Newcastle's won every single other match, so it's still been quite a strong fixture on our point of view. But that one particular game, we just caught out. Forest were just unbelievable that day. And again, hopefully, a reminder for our players on Sunday that, listen, we can't go into this game with expecting to win. We've got to look at how things were last season. I'm hoping that loss that you just mentioned there last season will hopefully kick our players on to make sure it doesn't happen again this season.
Can you give me a score prediction with scorers?
I am confident Newcastle's going to win the game. I'm going to be honest. I feel like that City lost last week. I know I've spent the entire video basically just talking about how disappointed I've been this season. But the reality is I think the City lost last week. While it's been a very bad result for us, I feel like it's probably not an ideal time for Forest to play us either, because Newcastle has been basically kicked all over the place against City, and that's going to kick us on this week, I feel like, to then bounce back. And of course, Forest is our next team up. So for us at home, we've actually lost our last 2 home games in a row. So again, for you guys, you can certainly catch us out, but I feel like surely Newcastle is going to turn up. Surely they'll be up for it. Again, a team that's in the top 4. They know, in my personal opinion, if Newcastle was to lose to Nottingham Forest, I think we are completely out of the Champions League race. I think we really need to beat these teams. I really think we really need to be able to kind of stick in there and just put pressure on you guys. I don't want Forest to drop out of the Champions League, but I think the reality is, if Newcastle was to get Champions League football this season, it would probably mean you guys are going to go out. So that's hard because I want both teams to do it. But as for this weekend, though, it's massive for you guys, like huge for you guys. You need to get a result in the game. I'm going to back 2-0 Newcastle. I actually think we'll have a... Put my hands up. I think we'll have a comfortable game. I'm going to go 2-0, yeah. I actually think we'll have a good game against Forest. And obviously you guys have lost your last 2 away matches to Fulham and Bournemouth. So I'm hoping... Put my hands up. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm actually comfortable. I think it'll be a comfortable one, believe it or not.
Well, I wasn't expecting to hear that. Who's going to score?
I'm gonna back Gordon. I'll make sure to let him know today. I'm gonna back him. So I'm gonna go for Gordon. I'm gonna go for Isak. I think both our attackers will score.
Thank you very much for coming on. It's been a lovely little chat. I'm looking forward to the game. I'm very nervous for it, but I'm looking forward to it. Everyone watching, make sure you check out Adam's channel. You do some match day vlogs and that sort of thing, don't you? You love it.
Yes, basically go to every Newcastle game. I always have a chance to speak to the opposition fans. I've been speaking to a lot of Forest fans as well at the weekend, so please do, if you're going to the game, make sure to get in contact and we'll have a chat either before and after the game. But I wish you guys all the best, though. I know I said I'm confident Newcastle this weekend, but I still do want Forest to get Champions League football.
Of course, everyone, please do remember to like and subscribe. You know, you've just watched a however long video with me in it. To not leave a like would be pretty tight. Well, I'll see you all in the next one, which will probably be my vlog of Arsenal at home. I don't know. I've not currently got a preview lined up, but whatever it is, I'll see you in the next one. remember to ingest cheese, and good night.